Right, hello and welcome back, everybody. This is David with Fairmare's Rangers, and if you're joining me for the first time, I've been covering Empire Total War on this channel for quite some time, and just a little bit about me so that you can decide whether you want to follow my channel. I don't do scripted videos, so if you're looking for that type of content from creators who might do scripted content, who don't seem to have much experience in the game, but can wordsmith some word salad together to make you have basic points that are given to you from other videos that you get on the internets or YouTube. Go ahead and waste your time with those videos. In this video, like I said, we don't do any of that here. This is all unscripted. You're going to get my thoughts streaming to you as they come, and that could be a positive or a negative depending on how you look at it, but that's how I roll. Let's get into it. Okay, I think one other thing I want to notate here as before we get into it is that with any type of content like this that we're going to be discussing, it's a lot of speculation and so forth, but they're giving us answers here. Now, not all the answers or all the changes or the changes that won't be made are always going to be things that we're going to always agree with or like. That's going to be the case with anything. We're not involved with the project, so we don't really get too much say in it. But I know from when Ferel did their port of Rome Remastered, there was a lot of criticism towards it and so forth. Now, I did buy Rome Remastered on launch, and I found the game quite enjoyable and refreshing. And I think sometimes we get that Mikey impression of games. If you might not know what I'm talking about because some of you guys are younger, but Mikey was a commercial that was it Life cereal, I believe it was. It was the two kids that were sitting there. They had the bowl of Life cereal, and the two boys were like, I don't want to try that. It looks, doesn't look like something I would like. And the other boys, well, I'm not going to try it. And then they're like, well, give it to Mikey. He hates everything. So they give the bowl of cereal to Mikey, and he starts eating it. And he's like, wow, he likes it. Mikey likes it. So, it's like the thing like, oh, if Mikey likes it, then everybody will, because Mikey hates everything. So I think we get that Mikey persona to us a bit sometimes, because when we have a game, especially one that we've played and liked and so forth, or we know that there's problems with it, we almost take that Mikey persona. We're not going to like anything about it, anything they change, unless it's what we want. So anyways, if you like that analogy, give me a like below, Mikey. Appreciate you guys. Maybe I should call y'all Mikey from now on and call myself Mikey. We'll be the Mikeys, because we all become Mikey sometimes, don't we? All right, so I'm gonna just real quickly go over the main things that I want to cover. Like I said, link's going to be in the description, so you can go to their Q&A and see what they had to say themselves, because there's no better place to get answers but from the horse's mouth itself. Am I right? All right, let's dive into the things that they covered. Okay, and again, this is just the things I'm going to be discussing more in depth. All right, so they've made changes to replenishment system like they did in Napoleon Total War. And there's going to be a toggle switch so that you can switch this on or off, depending on whether you want this or not. So if you're not familiar, Napoleon Total War, as your units take damage, if you're in your own regions, you'll start seeing replenishments trickle back into the men, to the units, without anything done by you. They'll just start gathering more men back into their units. And this is also going to be done for the naval, which was not done in Napoleon. Now, how that's going to be done, I'm not entirely sure. We can only speculate and wait to see what the dev diaries say as they release those. There's going to be some naval combat changes, which include better cones of range. I guess they're going to show how the reload's going to be done a little bit better. How that's going to work or how it's going to look, I really don't know. They didn't really give a really good explanation, in my opinion. So we'll have to wait and see on that. They said there's not no extra play factions or extra regions. So your starting regions that you can, the starting factions that you can play are going to be the same that you get in the base game. Pretty much most of the things you're going to see are going to be very similar to what the base game has, with these little nuanced differences that we're going to discuss. So some of the differences that they discussed already was you're going to have the ability to, when you're sieging a region that can maybe have a faction that is emergent, like they showed in their example Greece. So when the Ottomans had laid siege to Greece and took it, they have the decision to take the region for themselves or to allow the emergent nation of Greece to come forth and then become their protectorate. So you have those options, which is really cool. So, you know, such as other regions that this could happen would be obviously, you know, as the game progresses, other factions get taken over, like Bavaria. If it gets taken over by Prussia, then you can liberate them and make them your protectorate. Or Norway, for example, is controlled by the Danes. So, you know, these type of things. I don't really want to go into them too much, but I think you could get the gist of it on your own. So one of the other things that they talked about. Okay, one of the other changes they talked about was a return on investment, which you can see when you're upgrading buildings or making the decision whether you want to upgrade a building or not. There'll be a little section that will, in the card, that will tell you what the return on investment is if you upgrade this building and how long it takes to get to that return on investment. So I think that's really cool. Okay, so moving right along, there's not going to be any different start dates other than 1700, and otherwise you can do the chapter 4 of the Americas campaign, and then you can get a later date on that campaign playing as America. So basically the same thing as you get in the base game. There's going to be no cut content. I could go over this for ages, but I'm just going to say that they said that there's too much to go into adding to it. There's not enough data for them to add cut content, even though it might look like it from our perspective. There's not, which I find curious, because there's animations for such as Wounded Soldiers. There's already the animations there for it, so I guess there's not much else there other than the animations were done. Same for prone positions for light infantry, which honestly I don't want to see. I don't want to see prone positions. I think that would have a lot of problems in the game. But Wounded Soldiers, I'd like to see that. But a lot of the other things that, like, people that I guess play the Empire 2 mod want to see, like decisions to make, you know, like changes to the Pope and so forth. And, you know, I'm not really interested in that myself. Maybe you are, but to me, I just think that bogs down the game and kind of takes away from the pacing of the game. I'd rather see changes to the things that I can feel as I'm playing through the game. Like I said, like Wounded Soldiers as you're playing, those type of things. That's the type of changes I would like to see, but maybe you're different. Like I said, I think the pacing of the game is important. But we'll move on to the next topic. Adding auxiliary system. So they're adding an auxiliary system for militia. So this is interesting. just from the little bits of details they give us, they're going to be adding a feature to where militias will be at a much more reduced cost. And I would expect that that would be in the regions that that you have control over. Now, I don't know how it'll work for if it's in regions you don't have control over. Will you still get a reduced cost? That we don't have the answer to, but they said they're going to go into that more in their dev diaries, which will be interesting to see. So I really can't comment too much on. There's going to be added cost for upkeep of forts. So that's going to be a new cost added to you if you have forts. You're going to have to pay for them, which I think is cool. Also, on the flip side, if you garrison troops in the fort, or units, I should say, in the fort, you're going to get a reduction in cost. Now, what that reduction is, we have no idea. We're going to have to wait to see. But I think that's a great feature. Let me know in the comments what you think on that as well. Improved AI. They said that they will be doing slight improvements to the AI. Some of those changes will be done in fort battles that they've discussed. So basically the AI defenders will defend the walls better. Their artillery is going to have a wider range so that you won't have blind spots as you're attacking. So basically there'll be no safe zones to attack a fort from, is what I'm understanding. AI will use artillery more effectively on the attack to breach walls. And then their cav will exploit the breaches, I assume, while their infantry is climbing the walls. So just to add more pressure to you. They're adding changes to religious conversion. They're changing the wealth generation, fixing bugs that were, I guess, causing mid-game wealth problems for the AI. On this, I really can't speak on what these changes are or what this means, because I don't really know until I play the game or they give us more information on. So it's really hard to speak on it any more than what they've given us so far. They're also going to give us the option on changing how we're able to do research and development in our university. So we can, in the university, we can spread out our research points to different technologies instead of just one. So you get so many points per university, and you can spread those points of research points out to different techs. Or I'm assuming you can use, if you have more than one university, you're able to kind of gang bang one of the things. Like if you want to get to fire by rank quicker, you can put two universities researching that at the same time to gang bang that research out to get it done and quicker to your being fulfilled, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, there's going to be some little changes to the research. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be interesting to see. Somebody asked about additional units, the ones that we have, like the Maryland and like Bulkleys and Death Head Hussars. Those are all going to be in the release, so you won't have to pay extra for those. They're saying Warpath campaign is going to come later for the natives, so apparently they're focusing all their energy on getting the game out, and then they're going to go back and work on the Warpath campaign, and that will be a DLC cost. So I'm not sure. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, they are putting work into this, but to be honest, the price is $20 right now. How much is DLC going to cost? I mean, this is already, for an older game, just being ported to to a smaller device. Even I'm all for paying for these guys for their improvements to the game. I think what they're doing is fantastic, but the price is a little concerning to me. But I will admit I've already paid for it. So I mean, I would have even if I didn't cover this on YouTube, because I do enjoy the game and I do want to see what these improvements are to the game, how they affect it. But that's neither here nor there. Let's move on. So some of the other things that they're going to be doing to the game, you're going to be able to peacefully change your government through research, from what I understand from what they're telling us. So you don't have to force rebellions, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot. They will not... Oh, let me cover that last. I already really... also, they're going to be covering... They're going to be improving the campaign AI to reduce the number of single unit armies. They said this is actually a tactical decision by the AI. So they're not going to do away with it completely, but they're going to reduce it down in situations, especially around Istanbul, where we have the problem where the game crashes because they're all trying to cross over. Yeah, you know, you guys should know what we're talking about. So they're going to actually improve that, so that's not a problem. Most of us should know how to work around that problem from happening, that have played the game for a while. I've covered it on the channel, but it's something they're addressing, which I think is a great thing. They're going to be improving the AI snowball in town wealth and stagnation of population growth. On these, I can't really speak too much of, because I don't know what they're specifically talking about on snowballing town wealth in the game. I'm assuming they're talking about this directed at AI and not the player. Because I do know that the AI gets massive amounts of wealth, especially the harder difficulties you're on. But they just gain so much wealth, they just keep spawning and spawning units, and it just becomes a bogged down. This is one of the biggest problems with a lot of the mods that you see out there, is that they screw around with the economic system and, you know, give you more money, and the AI, you know, really doubles down on that and gets even more, and then it just becomes a slog. And that's why I don't really like a lot of the mods, but I've covered that a lot. So let's get on to this, what we're discussing here. Already talked about the Warpath campaign. Let's see here. There's going to be no support for any mods coming out. They're not going to be doing multiplayer. And I would assume that also means they're not going to be doing a multiplayer campaign either, because they said no multiplayer. That means no multiplayer. They said they're focusing on single player game. So I would assume that's for both. And once again, they're not adding any regions to the game. So there we have it. I mean, there's other things they discussed, but these are the things that I felt were the most important to me, and I would think the most important to most of my subscriber base and people that would join the channel to these type of videos. So quite interesting. I'd like to know what you guys think about this. Like I said, I highly advise looking at this if you haven't already. Hopefully you went and looked at it when you saw this video and familiarized yourself with the changes already. One thing I'm going to talk about lastly is the discussion that is I guess the elephant in the room. They have no plans to port their changes to the PC. So I'm going to talk about this lastly, because this is obviously, I think, a big mistake. Maybe not on Ferel's part, because Ferel's only doing what they're commissioned to do. So I think this is a huge mistake on Total War's part. And I think that needs to be reflected in discussions towards Total War franchise, which is controlled by Sega and Creative Assembly. And I have a saying that a friend used to always talk about, that if you want to affect change, you have to apply pressure. And the more pressure, the better. Pressure breaks the pipe. So constant pressure should be applied to Creative Assembly and to Sega to encourage them that we do want to see these changes to the PC as well. Because I think it would be a complete shame that they improve these things on the mobile to this game that's been out there for so long, and these things have not been addressed on the game itself on the PC, and we get somebody coming along later and affecting these changes. And does that mean I think there should be an additional price placed on the PC version to port the game to PC? And my answer to that is a clear and sounding no. I do not believe that we should pay an extra price to see these changes ported to the PC. And I'm going to explain that clearly here. Because number one, when this game was put out, we faced a lot of these problems over the years, and the frustration over the years of having the AI spawn and cause crashes, such as the single units around Istanbul, that they're going to be fixing in this port to the iOS and the Android. So no, I don't feel that making these changes to improve the AI, to improve the overall play of the game, should be an additional charge, because we already did pay for the game, and some of us paid full price for it. Some of us paid full price back in 2009 and have been a loyal customer to them and a loyal person speaking about how good this game is over the years, even though a lot of people on YouTube, so-called people, throw a lot of hate on this game. This is still a game that gets a pretty good player base. But obviously there's been some I'm going to discuss this even further in another video, even because I think I have a lot to say, or maybe I'm actually going to do a live stream on this, because I think I have a lot of things to say, and maybe this is better in a live setting. So maybe we discuss that there, but maybe I should leave this here and we'll discuss this more in depth in a live video. But I'm for no additional charges for these things to be ported to the PC. And even though they're saying that there's no immediate look at doing that, I mean, we are the ones supporting them, paying a full price for a game we already own to play it on the iPad, which is in most likely cases something most of us would not do, because we have the game already on PC. Why would we need to do that? But we're wanting to see these changes. And, you know, in some cases, you know, I'd like to support things I enjoy. So I would support Creative Assembly and Ferel for making some changes to my game, no matter, even if it ends up being something that ultimately doesn't do much to improve the game. I'm willing to support them for making a go at it, if you will. But I'm not willing to support an increase in price to the PC version for porting these changes to the game, which should already be a part of it, frankly. We should already see these changes on the PC version, frankly, years ago. But we'll go into that more in a live stream. I think I'm going to end it here. I appreciate you guys. If you like what I'm saying here, hit me up with a like on it, guys. And we'll see you more in a live stream. I'm probably going to do that this weekend. So be looking forward to seeing me on that. We'll see you soon, guys. Appreciate you guys. Love you. See you then.